Shock Monkey Radio is created by adults for entertainment purposes. The views and opinions expressed here do not reflect the sponsors or FXPG Public Radio. For additional information, refer to the U.S. Bill of Rights. Stand warned. So I was thinking about Space Ghost. More specifically, ghosts in space. So obviously, you know how ghosts work. If you're listening to my podcast, you know how ghosts work. You know the basics. So obviously, you know they get attached to a place, a house, an object, that kind of thing. So obviously, this kind of thing can apply to things like spaceships, space stations, and things like that. Here's the thing, though. Say you were murdered on the ISS-2 in polar orbit of Mars, and you haunt the space station. All right, you're poking holes in piss bags and moving around packets of peanut butter, whatever ghosts do on the ISS-2. So you get 20 or 50 years in that, maybe 150 years of that. And then the humans discover the Klingon race or something like that, the Klingons. And then there's a big war between the Klingons and the humans, and we'll obviously lose. And ISS-2 gets hunted down and gets blown up. And next thing you know, so what happens to you? What happens to you if this ISS-2 gets blown up by the Klingons? And do you still hover in orbit around where the space station was? After all, apparently gravity has a big effect on ghosts. You know, if you had to stay in the space station, it's like what is the movement radius when you're a ghost? Do you think it's maybe like, say, something like 10 acres? So if like you lived on an estate or something like that, you can haunt everywhere, you know, on the estate. But you you couldn't haunt an entire golf course or something like that. You could just haunt hole 13 or something. Is that how it works? I don't know, because apparently gravity has a big effect on ghosts. You know, even when it comes to ghosts on Earth, you know, they're attached to a place. And it's just like in Beetlejuice, you know, you walk out the front door, next thing you know, you're on Saturn. And sandworms. You hate them. I hate them. Everybody hates them. Why does it got to be said? But could it be that your spirit in space could get attached to an object? An object like, say, the object you were attached to at ISS-2 was your piss tube, your relief tube. The thing you pissed in every day. Yeah, it got sanitized and reused because, you know, it's space. And so it's... But that's the thing you're haunting. And then when the Klingons blow up ISS-2, your little piss tube is like hurtling through space infinitely, and you got to go with it. But odds are, gravity will catch it sooner or later, and it'll get burned up in the atmosphere. Then what happens to you? All right, say you're lucky enough that it doesn't burn up in an atmosphere. It hits a planet that doesn't have an atmosphere, and it just poof. Next thing you know, you're sitting around, hanging around some little stupid moon for all eternity. Wouldn't you wish there was a God at that point? What a horrible existence that would be. Or do you think maybe you can move anywhere as a ghost? Like, say, we know the rules. But I mean, say it's not like in Beetlejuice where you walk out the front door and you're on Saturn. Say it's more like you can keep going in any direction, but it's like a floating ghost speed. It's like 4 miles an hour. And so you're like, you're hanging around this place on Earth, and you start realizing, oh, I can move in any direction as long as infinitely, if I want to. You figure that out and say, hey, what am I going to do? I'm going to leave Earth. I'm going to just pick a direction and start going. But it's like 4 miles an hour the whole way. It's just human walking speed for all eternity. Yeah, you could see the entire universe, but golly, would that be boring? Wow. That would be so boring. That would suck. So, all in all, I think the laws concerning ghosts, it all kind of doesn't pass the smell test when you start talking about factoring humans in the habitation of space.